So yes, of course, Bioware is hard at work on a little game called Anthem, but they are also secretly gathering up development teams to work on the next big Mass Effect game, and yes, even the next Dragon Age game. So they're working on these simultaneously alongside Anthem, so this is some exciting news. I'm going to explain why these games would hit on PS5. They would launch on PS5 because of all of the evidence previously from Sony and the Sony CEO. But yeah, let's first of all talk about what Bioware is doing with Mass Effect and, of course, Dragon Age. And we're going to even dive a little bit into Anthem later in the video because I'm personally really excited for Anthem. So let's get into this. So this is from official sources, of course. Bioware did their summer update, and then also this comes from IGN and many other media outlets. Sources are always in the description below. Check them out. So it goes on to say, in Bioware's mid-summer update, General Manager Casey Hudson stated, "We hear loud and clear the interest in Bioware doing more Dragon Age and Mass Effect, so rest assured that we have some teams hidden away working on some secret stuff that I think you'll really like. We're just not ready to talk about any of it for a little while." End quote. Now, I know a lot of you are kind of apprehensive with anything related to Mass Effect, especially simply because of its recent history with the likes of Mass Effect 3's ending, and of course, Mass Effect Andromeda, which personally I really enjoyed exploring the world of Mass Effect Andromeda. I felt like the world itself was amazing. The galaxy itself was amazing, at least in my opinion. But you know, let's talk about what we could expect from Mass Effect, the next big Mass Effect, based on what EA is doing with Anthem and what is going on in the gaming industry with trends. Because good news, guys, single player is back in the gaming industry. It cannot be ignored. It's selling too well. I'm going to tell you why in just a moment. But first, why in the world would Mass Effect be coming to the PS5? Well, that's a really good question. Got to consider the development cycles of these games. It sounds like they're just beginning the process of developing Mass Effect, and it has been confirmed that the PS4 is in the final phase of its life cycle. This was confirmed by the Sony CEO, which means I would expect a lot of big games upcoming in the next 2 years, especially those that are being teased kind of like this in the background, to have like a 2 to 3 year development cycle. And by then, guys, I would expect the PS5 to be something that is on shelves, to be at least announced, and be something that's coming out by that time. And I would expect for Mass Effect to be ending up on the PS5 down the road. And that's something that's going to be, of course, really exciting, seeing what they do with this Frostbite engine on the next gen consoles. And of course, you got to consider again, you know, the next Xbox. I'm sorry, I know I'm kind of ignoring the Xbox here, but yeah, it would end up on the next gen consoles, of course. But we're going to talk about what that means for Mass Effect, and also what it means for Bioware to really fix their mistakes and understand what is going on with trends in the gaming industry. Because Sony, especially Sony in my opinion, they're really on the forefront of single-player games for sure. But you know, one thing that you know, Anthem has really demonstrated well is new facial technology. We did get to see that in the Anthem demonstration, and it looks like the team at Bioware is really in tune to the fact that we are aware that Mass Effect Andromeda didn't have the best facial animations. And you know what? They're taking that feedback, and it looks like they're applying it to Anthem, which of course would trickle down its way into Mass Effect and even Dragon Age as well. Which, by the way, you're seeing some amazing Anthem gameplay here, of course. And I, again, am super hyped for that one. But, you know, what did they do wrong with Mass Effect, and how can they address this? So, of course, they need to better respect the lore. Now, this was something I wasn't in tune to as much as other players with Mass Effect. but apparently they kind of disrespected the lore in the Mass Effect games, and that's something they're going to have to rewind and reset and really look at and say, hey, you know what? Going forward, we're going to have to learn to respect the lore of Mass Effect games, and of course, they got to consider that with Dragon Age as well. But yeah, single player is not dead, and we look to Sony to prove this time and time again, especially with games like God of War, which has been confirmed by an analyst, Matt Piscatula, I guess it is. Sorry if I butchered the name, but he says, I bet a bit you may have missed yesterday. After 3 months of God of War, according to NPD data, is actually the fastest selling PlayStation exclusive since tracking began in 1995. End quote. That is incredible and proves to developers and, publishers that single player is very viable, that it should definitely be something to pursue. And personally, this means that I think that it is something that, game publishers like Electronic Arts will reset and they will consider pursuing for sure in the future. So that's really exciting, and even games like Horizon Zero Dawn did very, very well on Sony's platform, and it's expected that they will continue this with The Last of Us 2 and so many other amazing games coming to Sony's platform. You got Spider-Man and more and more. And then you have to consider Bethesda. Bethesda, they have not been shy about talking about their single-player endeavor. Yes, we do have Fallout 76, which is mostly multiplayer, but they have said that Starfield, Fallout 5, and Elder Scrolls 6 will all be 100% single-player experiences, which I think is super exciting, and it shows that Bethesda, hey, they're going to dabble in the multiplayer realm, but hey, they're willing to return to single player in very big ways. Even Todd Howard has said he's expecting Starfield perhaps to be even a bigger franchise eventually than, get this, his Fallout franchise, which is absolutely huge. So we also do have some interesting comments from some of BioWare's team. Mark Darrow says this, but the review environment was crowded, and he's speaking about Mass Effect Andromeda here. He says, Nier, Nioh, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Zelda all launched in Mass Effect Andromeda's window. Each does something better than Mass Effect Andromeda. Again, a flawed game in-game. So he admitted to it being a flawed game, and he knows that competition is stiff, and he's very, very aware of that. And they also do, have to consider release date windows as well. All of these things together. I remember when Titanfall 2 released, I was completely baffled as to why that released against Battlefield 1. I was like, why are they doing this? They're killing their own game. And they even admitted that the release window was a very bad idea. They should have waited until February to release Titanfall 2. But going back to that, at least they admitted that it was a flawed game, and they're aware of this, and they're taking a step back, it sounds like, with Mass Effect, the next Mass Effect, and taking player feedback. And we'll see how Anthem turns out. If Anthem is a bad game, that does not, of course, bode well for anything upcoming from BioWare. So Anthem has to be a really good game. And guys, I did get the chance to go hands-on with Anthem at EA Play, and I can say from my time with the game, I was extremely impressed with it, and it was also very well polished. As you guys know, BioWare with Mass Effect Andromeda had issues with polish, especially at the launch, and had a rough time with bugs and stuff like that. So hopefully they get that down really well with the next Mass Effect and Dragon Age game for PS5 and the next Xbox, which I would again expect it to be coming to those platforms. Alright, so what about Anthem? Let's talk a little bit about some updates with Anthem. We all know that it is a multiplayer-centric game, but what about those of us that really want to focus on story and single player? So there was a new update about that as well in the Midsummer update from BioWare. It says this, the Midsummer update also shed a little light on Anthem's solution to the player's fear of having agency in a living world called Our World, My Story. The Our World part will be a dynamic open world experienced in real time by all Anthem players, day, night, weather, and world-scale events that shape the ongoing narrative of the setting, end quote. This sounds freaking awesome, and I hope they do this right. It also sounds kind of like what Fortnite is attempting to do with the changing world. Well, they are doing it really well, in my opinion, where, you know, meteors come in, you see the scarred landscape, things keep changing. Sounds like they're going to try this with Anthem in some way, and it's also going to tie into perhaps the story that's going to be ongoing and constantly, you know, evolving as you play. But, you know, they've also have not been shy of BioWare about speaking about the story. They're doing something different. They said, although, you know, we are a co-op experience, story is still very much in the forefront. We'll see if that pans out to be true, but I really cross my fingers that it does, because once you start introducing multiplayer and co-op, you kind of lose the soul of a game in many of these games, and I'm hoping that's not the case with Anthem. It sounds like, you know, they are kind of tapped into the fact that that could happen, and they don't want that to happen, so they're doing everything, hopefully behind the scenes, in their power to make Anthem a really good game. But you know what? I'm really hyped for Anthem. I can't freaking wait to jump into co-op with you guys and play that one, so looking forward to that. But yeah, let me know what you make of all this news. Are you hyped for, you know, PS5 and the next Xbox? Are you ready? Do you think you need more time with your PS4 and Xbox One? Or are you like, hey, you know what? Let's do this. Let's buy a new console. Let's lay down the $400 or $500 again, and then the $60 for, you know, every game that's upcoming. It's a lot of money to invest, and yeah, let me know if you guys are ready to part ways with your PS4 or Xbox One. And there's even, of course, the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, which many people have invested in only in recently for that 4K experience or the 60 frames per second on certain games. But you know, me personally, I am ready for the PS5. There's some graphical limitations with certain games recently that I've noticed, and I've jumped onto PC. And but for the exclusives, especially on the side of Sony, they've been really nailing their exclusives, especially with the single player and graphically. I mean, the Uncharted franchise, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man, God of War, the list goes on and on. The Last of Us 2, it's absolutely crazy. So I'm personally hyped to see what they do with the PS5 in terms of graphical fidelity and story. So looking forward to that. But guys, stay tuned here for more news about anything related to Mass Effect 5, the PS5, or what have you. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you guys later.